The 2000s were not a kind time for Disney Animation. Not only did they produce multiple disappointments one after the other, but because of so many misfires, the studio internally was a mess. The transition from traditional animation to computer-generated animation was rocky. There were multiple administrative shakeups, including the resignation of animation chairman Roy E. Disney. And the distribution deal with Pixar was shaky at best. Something had to change, and change drastically, in order for the once thriving animation department to survive. In 2006, new president Bob Iger made the decision to end the distribution deal with Pixar by finally acquiring the studio. In doing this, John Lasseter, who helped found Pixar and directed Toy Story, became chief creative officer of the animation department. Lasseter's change to the studio were a multitude, from rehiring animators from the Renaissance era who had since left, to refusing to consolidate Pixar and Disney Animation, to creating a new system and atmosphere for his animators, to even changing the studio's name. With Lasseter in charge, the animators were free to be animators again, and the new atmosphere allowed them to be more creative, which showed in their work. The rejuvenated animation studio began putting out consistent work that not only pleased critics, but most of the works did extremely well financially. Disney Animation was back in a big way. Roughly from 2009 to the present and spanning 6 films, this is the revival of Disney Animation. Number 6, Winnie the Pooh. One of Disney Animation's few theatrically released sequels and one of even fewer remakes, 2011's Winnie the Pooh served as a pint-sized indicator of the overall tone of the reinvigorated department. The movie is everything a Winnie the Pooh movie should be, well animated with sweet, sometimes nonsensical songs, and just overall cuteness. However, this movie is also unexpectedly funny. There were moments watching this movie that I actually laughed out loud, which is something I was not really expecting from watching a Pooh Bear adventure. I really enjoyed this movie and thought it was supremely adorable, but my main problem with it was that it felt modern. When I say that the film felt modern, that doesn't mean that the film was set in a contemporary time period or anything. It was the film's attitude that made it feel modern. This is probably where a lot of the humor came from. A lot of the jokes that landed in this movie I would never imagine being said or acted out in previous iterations of Winnie the Pooh. My problem with the film feeling modern is that it's very jarring against the existing characters. Pooh Bear, Tigger, Piglet, and the gang are all very childlike and innocent, and I always felt that their stories and adventures were timeless. Reinterpreting them with a more modern sensibility sometimes felt a bit off. While I have a complaint about this movie, I think it is definitely worth a watch. It's gorgeously animated, and it actually has a really good message in the end. With a runtime of barely an hour, this movie is definitely a fun, quick ride. Number 5, The Princess and the Frog. With Disney supposedly going CGI only in 2005 with Chicken Little, when they announced they would be releasing a traditionally animated film, a fairy tale no less, a lot of people got excited. Throw in the fact that it would introduce Disney's first African-American princess, and this movie was a hotbed for buzz and anticipation. The Princess and the Frog was the studio's attempt to restart, going back to its roots and doing what they knew best. Needless to say, this movie had a lot to carry on its shoulders. Did it live up to the hype? Well, mostly. The Princess and the Frog offers gorgeous, gorgeous animation for one thing. It was wonderful seeing that these animators still had it in them after years of working exclusively with computers. The characters for the most part were lots of fun, from spunky and hardworking Tiana, who I think is one of the best role models of the Disney princesses, to lovable Naveen to hilarious Ray. Seriously, he's my favorite character. Dr. Facilier was the scariest Disney animated villain probably since Judge Frollo, with a hauntingly animated villain song to match. The movie has a lot going for it, but it also has some problems. While the characters are likable, the plot and story itself I think could have benefited with some cleaning up. A lot of things in the film felt a bit convenient or rushed. I still feel that Naveen and Tiana's romance was a bit forced. The film tries its hardest to be funny, but sometimes the jokes just don't land. The songs written by Randy Newman are inconsistent in quality, ranging from excellent to phoned in and with forced lyrics. In short, this film isn't the best, but the good definitely outweighs the bad, and while it may be towards the bottom of my list, it was a great stepping stone to start off the era. Number 4, Big Hero 6. Alright, before I start talking about Big Hero 6, I just want to say that the next few entries on the list were really hard to rank. Even as I'm recording this, I'm still not sure if the order is exactly how I would like it. I guess you could say it just shows how strong these movies are. Anywho, Big Hero 6. Disney's first animated superhero flick is one of the funnest Disney animated movies I have seen. I don't think there has been a Disney movie so action-heavy, which I think sets it apart in the Disney canon. While the film lacks the depth other films on this list might have, it makes up for it with an insane amount of heart. With all the fast-paced action, this movie still finds time to create some lovable, instantly memorable characters that will surely endure through the years to come. While it might not exactly look like a stereotypical Disney movie, it still offers that Disney heart, which makes me love this movie so much. This movie is insanely fun, but still gives us that gut-wrenching tragedy Disney is famous for. I can't end my piece about this movie though without saying that I think this might be the funniest Disney movie I've ever seen. Drunk Baymax has me in hysterics every time. And speaking of humor, this era has consistently delivered really good laughs. Also, Baymax is dangerously close to usurping Mufasa as my favorite Disney character of all time. My love for Baymax knows no bounds. Well, let's move on, shall we? Number 3, WreckIt Ralph. I love pretty much everything about WreckIt Ralph. I love the characters from Spunky Vanellope to Sweet Felix to Kickbutt Sergeant Calhoun, and especially Ralph. Ralph, you have my heart. I love the worlds this movie is set in. I love the story. I love the message, but most of all, I love this film's ingenuity. This movie has some Pixar-level creativity going on. The amount of thought and imagination that went into this film astounds me. Every time I watch this movie, I find another detail hidden within the movie that just makes the world these characters inhabit so rich and full of life, despite everything taking place behind a video screen. You can definitely tell this film was created with love. Visually, this movie is stunning. Up until this point, this was by far Disney's best animated CGI work. You guys don't even know how much I love the fact that each game Ralph visits features different animation. The fact that the older arcade games are missing a frame of animation and that everything is in a square pixelated shape makes my soul happy. What I also appreciate is that despite this film being set in a video game world and most of it taking place in a land full of bright candy, this film feels like the most mature Disney animated film in a long time. Of course there's no cursing, blood, or sexuality, but this movie features themes and instances that most adults have to go through, like finding acceptance, self-worth, and getting older. It probably helps that the main character isn't a kid or teenager. Ralph is an adult, and he's still trying to find his place in the world, which I think everyone can relate to. Ugh, I love this movie, but there's still a couple that I love even more. Number 2, Tangled. While The Princess and the Frog was a return to Disney's roots with a modern twist, Tangled is the perfect progression. This movie feels like the quintessential new Disney princess movie, the Disney princess movie of the modern era. What I really love about Tangled is that it gels together really well. While far from a perfect movie, every component works well and it does so together in a seamless way. It feels like a very cohesive film. Everything from the characters to the music to the story to the art style just mixes together so well. Like with every film on this list, it's very funny. Flynn Rider and Pascal give me the giggles the most. And also, like with other Disney films on this list, this movie has tons of heart and likability. Rapunzel is extremely relatable and likable, and I actually feel as though her relationship with Eugene, is one of the most organic and believable romantic relationships in a Disney animated film. Unlike with The Princess and the Frog, their turn from platonic relationship to romantic is much more subtle and gradual. I'm also fond of the villain, Mother Gothel. No, she's not all that scary like Frollo or Scar, but she's quite dastardly. I love that she fits right in with the pantheon of campier villains like Captain Hook and Hades. She herself delivers some good laughs, especially through her signature song, Mother Knows Best, which is one of the funnest Disney songs to sing. Speaking of the music, I am so glad Alan Menken returned to writing music for Disney animation. Oh, I love that man. He did it again with these tunes, and they fit the film so perfectly. Tangled is a great movie. It's fun and playful, yet offers a lot of genuine emotion. It's a well-acted, gorgeously animated film that has definitely earned the love it has received. And number 1, Frozen. I guess almost all of you saw this coming. Yes, the highest-grossing animated film of all time is my favorite movie of this era, and it might be one of my favorite Disney movies in general. Chances are, if you're watching this, you have probably seen Frozen. What can I say about Frozen that hasn't already been said? Almost nearly 2 years after this film's release, and it's still everywhere. I know. I worked for Disney World for 5 months. Is it overhyped? Well, that question I think is a matter of opinion. Do I let it bother me? No, not really. Why? Because this film is great. A movie like this doesn't reach those heights of popularity for no reason. This film has so many wonderful aspects that it's hard to list them. The animation, gorgeous. The songs, wonderfully memorable. The story, heartwarming. The characters, relatable and likable. The film has so much going for it, and I seriously commend the cast and crew for creating such a beautiful film. I think this is the culmination of what a modern Disney movie can be. The humor, characters, and especially the message are all very modern, yet this film is so Disney, it's almost overwhelming. Speaking of the message, I think that it's one that is very important, especially for young girls, but for everyone as well. I love the fact that this movie subverts the Disney trope by appearing to be about romance, but actually being about family. I love the fact that Anna and Kristoff's relationship takes a back seat to the development between Anna and Elsa. I love that Elsa is so insecure, yet so strong. Mostly, I love that this movie said in such a big way that true love is not just romantic. In a way, this movie shows girls that they can be their own person without the love of a male figure. They don't have to be defined by their partner. I freaking love that message. This film took the world by storm, and for good reason. This film deserves the accolades, adoration, and popularity it has received. It's not just a great movie, but it's an important movie, and I think it will serve as one of the greatest milestones in Disney Animation's illustrious career. When I saw this movie the first time, I honestly felt that Disney magic that I hadn't felt since I was a kid. This truly is the Disney movie of a new generation, and I'm so glad I was able to see it bring back so much love for a studio that deserves it. This era is an incredibly strong one. In 6 years, I don't think Disney has put out a misfire yet. This may even be a stronger era than the Renaissance, but only time will tell. As of right now, Disney is on a roll, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. The sky is the limit for the rejuvenated studio, and I hope that things continue to go well for them. We only have till next year to find out, as 2 new animated features are set to be released, Zootopia and Moana. I eagerly await their release because I know Disney has what it takes to keep producing great films. These 6 films alone have shown this. This project that I started some months ago has only made me love and appreciate Disney even more, which I wasn't sure was possible. It has been an eye-opening experience, and I'm actually quite sad that this project has come to its conclusion. No studio has produced such an incredible body of work. When Disney is on, it's on fire. Even though it's had its low points and quite a few growing pains, this studio has stayed strong. From 1937 all the way to 2015, and hopefully beyond, this studio has proven that magic can happen and dreams can come true. There truly is nothing like Disney. Thank you so much for watching this series. I hope to see you again with another film series soon.